Welcome to Dubai. My name is Riva Gorelik. I am the JDC and Twine Jewish Service Corps Fellow here in the United Arab Emirates, and I'm so happy to welcome you here for the 5th night of Hanukkah. I've been working here for the last 10 months to support the community's growth and its next stage of development, and I'm so excited for you to get to know this community of pioneers. Yalla.
When I first came to Dubai in early 2014, and most people thought, what's a nice Jewish girl like you doing in a Muslim country? And for about the first 5 to 6 years of living here, I became a undercover, quiet, private Jewish person. I was hiding a part of who I was. So with the Abraham Accords and with the UAE governments making it so clear that they were embracing tolerance, it's like living through the miracle in the desert, as I often call it.
We believe in UAE, diversity brings more power. A lot of different people with different experiences, with different background. So we are not only, talking the talk, we are walking the walk.
This community here is about our ability to reinvent ourselves. This place is a portal into the Jewish future, and particularly into a renewed relationship between Jews and Muslims.
I'm from the Middle East, and I think that things or solutions should be actually started in the Middle East itself.
We are not a copy and paste of any other religious community anywhere. To practice Judaism here, it's a much deeper level of it when you're also practicing tolerance at the same time.
I can feel, and I hope you all feel too.
Over the past few years, we've had the great pleasure of having several JDC fellows join us.
Through their care, their vision, their operational help, they have literally been the power line that has sustained and enlivened Jewish life here. The JDC fellows have been walking community centers.
The opportunity to travel to Dubai and not just experience Jewish life here, but be a part of the story is an opportunity that I couldn't resist.
The ability for JDC to provide the person power to be able to build the infrastructure of this community is meeting a need of a Jewish community.
It's not about the basic things in life in order to survive, but what it is about is supporting Jewish communal life.
And it's such a gift to be able to do that on behalf of JDC.
It's really special to see a Jewish community in the moment of change. This is a startup community in many ways, and the world is watching.
I often quote the show Hamilton and say history has its eyes on us. I don't take that lightly.
One thing that's unique about living in an expat community is that everybody's coming from somewhere else. Your neighbors become family. The magic of this place is that there aren't things to just show up to, but they actually have to pioneer and build those things and build that sense of community.
We all feel profoundly responsible.
So many people who I've spoken to so far during my time here have used the word miracle to describe what's happening in the Jewish community right now. So Hanukkah feels like a very special and resonant festival here.
One could say that a Jewish person moving here, especially prior to the Abraham Accords, was kind of waiting and waiting to see if there would be enough oil to sustain. On the other side of the Abraham Accords, we're living a very robust life, so I'd say faith has taken us through that, into our own miracle.
Everybody is welcome. Anybody can go there. The leaders, including myself, that built this community had no previous Jewish experience. We all came here as backbenchers. Hanukkah is a deeply empowering festival, which works very well for our personal story. The miracle happened here. It's profoundly hopeful and optimistic.
Now let's hear from Rabbi Yehuda Sarna, Chief Rabbi of the Jewish Council of the Emirates. I've had the honor of working with Rabbi Sarna during my time here, and he's such a visionary and such an energy in this community, and I'm excited for you to learn from him.
One of the things that really drew me to this community was in 2017. I had come actually right around the time of Hanukkah, and I gave this little class to about 20 people who were there, each one from a different country. And I remember the subject that we were studying was where in one's home should the menorah Hanukkah be placed. The ideal, says the Talmud, should be at the door so that more people can see it. But at a time or in a moment where Jews were afraid of being publicly identified, you could put it on the kitchen table so that at least your family can see it. When I taught this text, it was like touching a raw nerve. The reaction of people in the room was this. They said, we feel welcomed here. We feel like this is our home. And at the same time, we're not quite sure yet if we can be publicly identified. We tell our children to keep their identity a secret in school because we don't exactly know what the social cost would be. And yet we're here because we feel safe, we feel secure, and we feel like the quality of life is very high. That tension became resolved really with the advent of the Abraham Accords. And since then, we've just seen the most incredible growth in Jewish life, Jewish institutions. And of course, the Joint Distribution Committee has been such an important part of that. And my hope going forward is that just like we celebrate Hanukkah, festival of religious freedom, festival of people being able to be themselves, so may it continue to grow here in the UAE.
As we all know, food brings people together. Let's hear now from Jess Katz, the 2019 Ralph Goldman Fellow, about the ways in which she used challah to build community during her time here in Dubai.
Throughout my time as the Ralph Goldman Fellow, I went to 11 different countries and spent Shabbat in probably 49 different places, and ended my year with a 3-month stint in Dubai, helping the Jewish community here to work on programming and really look at what their Jewish community might grow into. My first week here, we sat down to the Shabbat dinner table. I was being welcomed, and we did all of the blessings and the motzi, and I realized we were making the motzi over matzah instead of challah because it was a little bit tough to get kosher challah here in Dubai. Today that's changed, but back in 2019 it was a little more difficult, and so I decided the next week, because I had lots of time on my hands, that I would make my own challah. And it's not something I grew up doing necessarily. I kind of know how to bake, and I sort of figured it out in the moment. And the first week I made challah and we had it. It wasn't that great. I promise it really wasn't that great, but it was sort of symbolic of also my time here, of figuring it out. I did that the first week, and by the time I left, because I committed to doing it every single week, my challah got better. I also had been asked to make 30 challahs for Rosh Hashanah, which really started as a children's program and turned into we'll all have challah for Rosh Hashanah. There are lots of challah bakers in the community, so it's not to say I was the only one, but I think it's something that they kind of reference back to. Back at home, post my fellowship and during COVID, I actually continued to make challah and joined the Kabbalat Shabbat Zoom calls that the community does at 8:30 a.m. Detroit time because of the time difference, but it was also time for me to make challah at home while watching the Kabbalat Shabbat, which really brought it all together for me, as well as, challah and those traditions that I know have lived on post my being in Dubai is just a really beautiful thing. It's braiding, our lives and stories and just the global community that we are together through challah.
I hope you've enjoyed your whirlwind tour of Dubai. Now, let's head 47 stories above the Persian Gulf to light Hanukkah candles with Jake Berger, the JDC Entwine Jewish Service Corps Fellow.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שעשה ניסים לעבודתנו בימים ההם בזמן הזה. Happy Hanukkah from Dubai.